A Giants podcast for Giants fans
by Giants fans.
From the offseason through the wins and the losses, it's time to take one Giant step.
Welcome in to One Giant Step. Can you hear that in my voice? I'm Shuan Morash. He's Bryce Gelman. Bryce, what can you hear in my voice?
Exuberance.
Okay, exuberance is one word. I would also say well-restedness is another word compared to the last time you heard us. By the way, sorry I didn't deliver on the promise. Week got away from us. That was awesome, having a mini bye week of Giants football where they played on Thursday. They won on Thursday. What? For the first time in a decade, they won on a Thursday.
Sean, what a weekend. That was one of the best weekends I've had in a long time. Stress-free. No stress.
Right. Stress-free. We didn't even get into that part of it because it was like the 17th most important part to come out of Thursday. The Giants, and every team has to play Thursday night football essentially every year. And the Giants have had a couple Thanksgiving games mixed in, whatever. That mini bye week where you get 10 days off. The Giants had not won a Thursday night game since they had beaten Washington 10 years ago, the weekend the Pope was in town. I remember this because I was at the game versus Washington. Rashad Jennings blocked the punt. And, they kept showing the Pope on the big screen. Meaning, every one of these for the last decade, we have sat through a weekend of, all right, at least we're not watching the Giants play, but man, that's a long way to go between games and what a loss. We hadn't gotten that feeling. That feeling of the whole league's talking about us and our two maniac psychopath rookies, and we won, and we beat the Eagles, all of that, and we get to watch football knowing we're the king craps for the weekend. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was awesome just to kind of throw my feet up, rest, not do 50 million podcasts all weekend. And here we are, man.
And then every NFC East team lost.
Washington losing on Monday night in a game where they probably had no business losing, but Jaden Daniels fumbles all over the place. Terrible ending for them. I mean, you go nuts if you're a Washington fan. And Dallas, think about this for the Dallas Cowboys for a second. The Dallas Cowboys have 2 wins on the year. Their 2 wins are versus Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now, it's a little bit of a caveat because Russell Wilson played well in that game. We all love that game versus Dallas. But the 2 guys Mike Tomlin couldn't wait to push out the door. And now, by the way, Mike Tomlin, could his coach credit go up even more knowing what Justin Fields and Russell Wilson became with the 2 New York teams? Those are the 2 Cowboy wins as they fall to the Carolina Panthers. And the Giants find themselves in a spot, Bryce, and we're going to get into this about tempering expectations, or hell, if people want to go crazy with expectations. I'm not going to tell you how to act as a fan. Believe whatever you want to believe. Where you could come out of another weekend this weekend thinking, Jesus Christ, the Giants are cooking with gas here. Anything's on the table. And I do want to delve into the feelings of that and going into the game because I thought Paul Schwartz of the Post put it really well. And I'll talk about that. But before we get into all of that, we're going to close the show with the game pick, the fantasy versus reality, digest all of that. I take you back. We are taping this, Bryce Gelman and myself are taping this on Wednesday night, October 15th. I'm going to put a pin in that date. I'm big on this podcast. If you listen to One Giant Step or is your first time listening, viewing, download, subscribe everywhere podcasts are available. I'm big on being upfront on the date and time Bryce Gelman and I tape. I think that's so paramount in the podcasting world. So many people run and hide. If you listen to a podcast, generally speaking, it's normally not live. It's okay to tell you because at any moment, what we're about to say could become outdated. Now, that doesn't mean turn off the podcast because we're going to get into game stuff that won't become outdated until Sunday. Guy, Bryce, a week ago at this time, I'm in Yankee Stadium wondering, are the Yankees going to come alive versus bats? Oh, crap. The Giants are going to lose to the Eagles the next night. Oh, crap. We're going to be 1-5, whatever it is. And a week later, okay, the Yankee season ended. That sucked. A week later, the Giants not only win, them in terms of making a trade in a buying sense has become the biggest talk topic around Giants football the last 24 to 36 hours, and momentum's building. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I've been out to lunch, I'm not on Twitter, what the hell's going on, Shuan, Bryce? What's going on? The Giants are buyers in the wide receiver market, okay? And they're buyers in the wide receiver market for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously Malik Neighbors being out for the year. That is a room that was left pretty barren before the year anyway, which was kind of a crappy job by Joe Shane, but okay, you're correcting it. Jackson Dart is now playing before the trade deadline. Jackson Dart has shown enough through 3 games, wins and losses be damned, that he deserves wide receivers that are going to maybe fight for the football and not drop a million passes. And as a result, Connor Hughes had the most recent report. I know Dunleavy had struck up a list. Evan Roberts on our show, Evan Atiki, had a list as well. And we got to the point where Connor Hughes reported that the Giants are big, quote, big game hunting at wide receiver. And the Giants took time on Wednesday to restructure two of their new guys, Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland's contract, to create an additional $4.8 million in cap space. Jordan Renaud had reported that the Giants had $2.5 million in cap space, which is not a lot to get through the season with all like the roster manipulation the Giants need to do, practice squad call-ups and comings and goings, guys get hurt. So they needed a little more room to get through the season. They didn't need nearly $5 million extra room, if we're being honest, but they did create that, which now just added fuel to the fire and smoke, or I guess smoke and fire, whatever the hell the saying is. The Giants certainly are in the wide receiver market. They are now not hiding it. They now financially are showing it. And I think that it says a lot. I think that's a locker room that if they saw the Giants swing for something, that there's a lot of guys in that room have watched friends leave at trade deadlines, like Leonard Williams, right?
Yep.
That is a locker room that's seen guys leave at the end of years where the team had no intention of bringing them back. Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love. That's a locker room. Some of those guys are new, and the rookies are going to turn around and go, oh, wow, this regime believes in us. And I think that matters. So we'll see what the Giants do. But, Bryce, we are on full-blown Giants trade alert, and there's a chance. I mean, this could take 2 weeks up through the deadline, don't get me wrong. But knowing how much it's heating up now, there's a chance that there are people listening to this. I don't know. I can't predict the future, and they've already done a trade for a big wide receiver. So I find this fascinating. Bryce, where are you at? Let me phrase it this way. I know I'm going on and on and on. I promise Bryce, I get that completely all the time. Can you let Bryce talk already? Bryce, you're going to talk. 2-4. The Giants could very easily lose this game to Denver. Hell, they're more than a touchdown underdogs and be 2-5. Are you of the belief, Bryce, that the record should not matter when trading for the wide receiver because it's about Jackson Dart? Or, you know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves. I don't want to give up assets. We still have a losing record, yada, yada, yada. Because I will tell you, I'm of the belief, I don't care if they lose to Denver and slip to 2-5. I'm not looking to mortgage multiple first-round picks, and we'll talk about that with Jalen Waddle. This is a team that doesn't have a third-round pick as a result of the Jackson Dart trade.
Yep.
But if you are getting a guy that is going to be here as the wide receiver 2 next to Malik Neighbors beyond this year, and he's certainly worthy of that, man, I'm all for it.
Here's the thing, and I do think the Jackson Dart's development is paramount in all this, Shuan. But you look at the wide receiver room that was already in place before Malik Neighbors goes out for the year. You're telling me that Darius Slayton is your number 2 wide receiver? You think that's good enough? It's not. And we could have told you that before the season. Now you lose Malik Neighbors, who I think is a top 3 receiver in the NFL. You lose that level of playmaker. And now where are you at? Darius Slayton is your number 1 wide receiver. And you've got Bo Collins in the rotation. Lil Jordan, I like him. I like Lil Jordan. I think he actually is pretty solid. He's the next Victor Cruz.
Victor Cruz.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm kidding.
What?
That was almost as bad as me calling Darius Slayton the top receiver.
Let's settle. By the way, we'll take him being the next Ruben Randall for now. How about that?
Whatever happened there. But either
Don't
way,
mind me, Bryce, by the way, I'm going to finish eating my dinner as you go.
Go for it. This is where I'm at. The Giants need a number 2 wide receiver. And whether it be a guy like Jacoby Myers on the last year of his deal or a Jalen Waddle who's got a bunch more years left on his deal, they are in a position to add to a room that is terrible. They have the worst wide receiver room in the NFL right now. No other team, maybe the Jets. The Jets might be number 1 there with Garrett Wilson, but Garrett Wilson's not out for the year. He's still going to play at some point this season. The Giants, by default, Shuan, have the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. And next year, look at it.
It's not crazy.
It's still barren, even with Malik Neighbors back. So
and Wan'Dell's a free agent, by the way.
And okay, yeah, exactly. So you have the opportunity to add to an already barren wide receiver room. And this is like an excuse to do it, Shuan. It's like, all right, well, we got to do this for Jackson Dart. Oh, but we also have to do it because Malik Neighbors is out. Oh, but we also have to do it because who the hell do we have next year? So it's all those things combined. There are multiple things at play here. I know this Giants team. I know that Joe Schoen in that front office is absolutely kicking himself that he gave $12 million a year to Darius Slayton, of all people, and he's going to try to make up for that mistake by going out and trading for, right now at least, maybe signing another receiver. But as of right now, trading for a guy who is a real number 2 wide receiver. And I like the idea of bringing Jalen Waddle in. And let me return the favor, because I got a few options. We can go through a bunch of them, but I've got 3 right here. I'm going to give you 3. You tell me which one you'd rather have. Number 1, Jacoby Myers. And all these guys have different circumstances at play, longer contracts, shorter contracts, last year of deal. Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, or Chris Olave. And I'm not going to do the Waddle thing because you kind of hinted at it. The Dolphins are asking for a first-round pick there. So of those 3, which one would you rather have?
Me, I'd rather have Olave, although I am scared by the concussion.
Even with this concussion. Okay.
Yeah. Tiki talked me off the Jeudy stuff, although I'm not going to say no to Jerry Jeudy, in that very similar body type to Malik Neighbors long term. You're looking for maybe a little more outside kind of deal. Like Jerry Jeudy's got that like small twitchiness to him.
He's also had a lot of drops this year.
Yes. To me, if it's not going to be Waddle or it's not going to be Olave, I would settle for Myers, although I had this argument with a caller on the fan. All you have to do is do the Pro Football Reference comparison page. Drafted same year as Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton has either 1 or 2 more touchdowns than him and has more yards per reception than him, more overall yards. Myers had that one big year 2 years ago where he didn't drop a pass, but other than that, his career, and I don't want to hear about quarterbacks, what has Slayton played with. He's basically a Darius Slayton's career, except for he had one better year than Slayton overall, which was a good year 2 years ago. So I am, and the reason I bring up Darius Slayton, I think everything should be judged on is that player definitively better than Darius Slayton, or like better upside than Darius Slayton?
I mean, it's crazy that's the baseline. You're right.
No,
right?
but it is, because you're trying to upgrade that, right?
Yeah.
So would I be happy with Jacoby Myers? Yeah, but I would be less thrilled than I would be with those other guys. And even Jeudy, I would rather Jeudy than that, although I understand the negatives.
But here's the thing that you have to keep in mind. The assets the Giants give up for these guys are going to vary. With Jacoby Myers,
hold on.
On the last year of his deal, you can give a 5th or 6th round pick. That might be enough to do it.
But just remember this too: the Dolphins can ask for a 1st round pick. I'm not sure they're getting one. I don't think they are. So I'm putting a 1st round pick aside. I'm not making any deal for a 1st round pick. I could have a conversation about a 2nd for Waddle for sure. The other guy I do think is worth mentioning, although he has an expiring deal, probably wouldn't cost you a lot, but I would be interested in signing. I would be very into Rashid Shaheed from the Saints as well. Yeah. Guy doesn't drop a lot of passes, gets down the field. I actually think that would be a fit with the Giants. Okay. But we say all that to say, we could speculate on names, and we could do that next week if they don't do whatever. Like, the point is, are you interested? And this would be my finishing line on this. And this is why I think record and them losing to Denver is irrelevant to what I'm trying to do here. Number one, the obvious, right? Joe Schoen and Brian Dable are trying to build a better team for this year to win some more games this year anyway. So I do understand that. But also, we're in very uncharted territory that we forget about. We forget that in today's modern NFL, because remember, this was not the case with Eli Manning because of the way salaries were structured. Was the case with Daniel Jones, but he wasn't very good, and we were left confounded, and Gelman was very clunky. When you draft a rookie quarterback and you play a rookie quarterback, and the rookie quarterback is also pretty good, and I think through 3 games you're going to admit Jackson Dart's pretty good, your roster build manipulation changes dramatically the next 3 years.
Yep.
So now they have Russell Wilson making $13 million. That's going to be gone after this year. The next 3 years, the Giants, and if you look at the 2027 cap space, they'll have, $120 million. That is how you build a winning team around a young quarterback before the young quarterback starts getting paid $60+ million a year, which I'm sure will be the case when Jackson Dart gets there. You take advantage of that window. So to me, that is what's swaying me in the direction of, would I give up the 2nd? Would I give up the 4th and a deal for Waddle Olave? Hell yeah, I would. And the Waddle deal is very affordable under their cap circumstances. Because why wouldn't I, number one, not want to do the Daniel Jones thing where I have no idea if I've supported the quarterback enough. Remember how many times did we have that conversation, Bryce? So did they do the right thing with O-line weapons? I don't want any of that. They need, no matter what, at the end of this year, when you're making a list of the 5 needs the Giants are going to have, okay? And we could argue them, right? Another interior offensive lineman, no question. We'll see what Darius Alexander becomes. The cornerback situation.
That's number one.
Corner for you? Okay. I mean, I don't know.
You got a first round pick. You got a first round pick.
Okay.
Wouldn't you feel so much better with Cordell Flott as your number 3 cornerback and actually
Sure.
get a number 1 cornerback?
I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Another playmaker on this offense, specifically the other wide receiver besides Malik Neighbors on the outsides there, that is going to be right at the top of the list. There's a chance that is your first round pick if you don't trade for one. And if not, you're going to be sitting there.
I'd much rather them acquire a guy who's already proven.
This is my point.
Malik Neighbors.
This is my point
already. Yeah.
As soon as you get to round 2, could you draft, the next Alshon Jeffrey, who was a round 2 pick? Sure. Could you also draft a bust in the round 2? Sure. I think everything becomes a gamble, and I'm not looking to take I'm looking to take advantage of this salary flexible window when a quarterback is in a rookie window. That's why I think the record's irrelevant. So we could all talk about the assets. Sure, the draft picks are great. Oh, do you want to trade a 5th? Look at how good the 5th round picks are. I mean, I'd trade Micah McFadden today if it meant I was acquiring, Jalen Waddle or Chris Olave. So that's where I'm at. And I'm not an F them picks guy, but I do think that you need to look at where the Giants are and understand, well, if I'm taking off a need that I might address in the draft anyway, and it's a sure thing, as much of a sure thing as it can be in terms of a veteran who's going to be here and it's going to help my young rookie quarterback, and I'm going to have an explosive offense with Malik Neighbors, insert this wide receiver 2, and some kind of Cam Scatterbu, Tyrone Tracy thing, as Theo Johnson goes, yeah, I'm in.
It's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
It becomes a no-brainer. So I'm very much in, and I like the Giants' aggressiveness, and we'll see where it comes. Hopefully we're doing a podcast where we're completely reacting to, oh my God, the Giants have done this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about the Giants as it pertains to this week, which I'm sure is a lot of the reason you guys are here. Thank you again. One Giant Step, Shuan, Morash, Bryce, Gelman, free on the Audacy app, everywhere podcasts are available. Expectations. We're going to talk about the Bronco game and our expectations and the fantasy versus reality segment and the reality how they can win. Paul Schwartz from the New York Post perfectly summed up how I think many of you feel, and I know how I feel, and I didn't quite know how to phrase it myself until I read the words, and I said, shit, Paul Schwartz nailed it. That's exactly how I feel. And his point was, when it comes to Sunday versus the Denver Broncos, as we're all kind of anticipating this game, we have no idea what the hell is going to happen. There are plenty of reasons to think the Giants are going to lose this game. Plenty. And they're 7.5-point underdogs, right? Not that you should always go by Vegas, but it's plenty.
Well, first off, that's absolutely insane considering how the Broncos just played the Jets. That's absurd.
No, that's also
Vegas
joke for you, man. They're begging you to take the Giants, which we know, Bryce, from the gambling circle, never a good sign for the Giants.
Yeah,
and they're home. We'll get to all that. We'll get to all that. We'll get to all that. Doesn't mean the Giants have to lay down and die because Vegas thinks that they're 7.5-point dogs. Whatever. Plenty of reasons to point to why the Giants should lose this game, will lose this game. But also now we know, off of beating the Chargers and beating the Philadelphia Eagles, and a quarterback and running back that are too young and crazy to know any better that they're supposed to lose a game like this, and a defense, by the way, that finally made some adjustments versus Philadelphia. And we heard about the players meeting stuff and talking to Shane Bowen, and Shane Bowen kind of now trusting the players more. Like the defense could be ready to turn a corner. We'll see. There are also plenty of reasons to think the Giants are going to go into Denver and say, I don't give a shit how good your defense is. I don't care that you're 7.5-point favorites. We're going to come in and play our game and may the best team win, and maybe they win the game. So Paul Schwartz lays this out, and he's right. There have been too many weeks and too many years in the Brian Daboll era where, and beyond that and earlier, where you just know going into a game like this, the Giants are dead as dogs.
Yeah.
Unless it's just simply, any given Sunday, look what happened. Wow, the Giants, Tommy DeVito beat the Packers on Monday night. Wow. That's no longer the case, though. Like, this is a building thing. The Giants might get whacked Sunday. They might win. That is going to be the Giants season the rest of the way. It just is a matter of fact. And that is life in the NFL with a good rookie quarterback. You're going to beat teams you don't think you're going to beat. You're going to, like the Saints, you're going to make some mistakes in games. And you go, I can't believe we lost that game. And that is what the rest of 2025 for the Giants is going to be. If you have visions of the Giants making the playoffs, I'm not there. But I'm not here to tell you shouldn't feel that way after those NFC East teams. It's okay 6 weeks in to have this feeling of dreaming because we never have that feeling.
Yeah.
If you are like me and you don't think you're making the playoffs, but you look at it and go, man, I just want to have watchable football every Sunday and watch this, young team grow and win some of these games, great. Get on board with me. And that's what it's all about. So that, by the way, that feeling of knowing you could choose either of those two pathways to go is a sign that for once the Giants are headed, Bryce, in the right direction. That we know this week, or I'm sorry, the one thing we know this week is that we don't know what the hell's going to happen. And for a long time, we knew exactly what was going to happen. And that is a bad thing in terms of when there are going to be losses. So that's where I'm at. So again, you're going to see here if you watch this on YouTube, tempering expectations. I'm tempering mine, but I'm here to tell you, if you have high expectations, go for it. That's it. That's it. I don't know. Where are you at with Bryce with that mindset?
Well, normally I talk down to fans who have unrealistic expectations. But in this day and age, with where we're at with the Giants, we've talked about it. It's been a very long effing time since the Giants were good. Since each week you could look at, hey, they might win this game. It's not, again, like you said, it's not any given Sunday. It's not Tommy DeVito, look at all this hype, yada, yada, yada. It's, hey, this team is actually good. They just beat the Eagles. They beat the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could beat the Lions. Maybe they could beat the Packers. Like, these aren't extreme beliefs anymore. So I'm not going to sit here. Normally I would. I'd be like, you're idiots. You're stupid for thinking the Giants can make the playoffs. Do it. Go for it. I'm totally cool with it. I do believe your head's in the clouds and it won't happen, but that's my opinion. And we can agree to disagree. Normally, again, I'd be in your face and tell you you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's not the case anymore. I am not here to police other Giants fans for believing whatever the hell they want to believe because of where we're at right now and where we've been. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. There are going to be people out there that have these false expectations, false hope, and we're going to win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. So be it, man. Do it. Whatever helps you sleep at night. I don't care.
Yeah, by the way,
I don't care.
Giants winning. I'll say this, Bryce. Giants winning the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, you called false hope. I don't know if that's false hope. I'm not picking that. How could it? If Jackson Dart's the real deal,
that's the thing. That's why I'm not going to sit here and tell you.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
Like
anything is on the table now.
You could believe whatever the hell you want to believe because of where we're at right now.
Yeah. Losing out the rest of the year is also on the table where we're still firing the coach. Like everything, all cards are on the table. And that's fine.
Usually
I'm here for a ride, baby.
Dude, usually there's so much vitriol going on between the Giants people who think they're actually going to be good versus people who are, I wouldn't say that we're pessimistic. We both thought that Brian Dable and Joe Shane should be brought back. That was both of us. And hey, it's not looking too bad. But there are people out there that are pessimists. There are people out there with false hope. And a lot of my friends are like that. And I've gotten on their asses so many times. Yeah. I don't care anymore. I don't care either. Okay, cool. All right. You think they're going to win the Super Bowl? Maybe. They might.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're both in lockstep here. I'd like to be able to sit here and tell you that you're wrong and then I'm still trying to police Giants fans. I don't have the energy in me. I don't care. I could not care less to tell you what to believe or what to think because you at some point we might be on here saying some crazy shit. Yeah. And then at that point, you can't be like, oh, Bryce, 3 weeks ago, I never said that. I never said that. In the wise words of Mike Francesa, I never said that.
I never said that. All right, Bryce, let's get to the fantasy reality segment here and kind of lay out what's going on. So just the facts of the game as we know them. We will not get to tussle with our old friend Matt Parrott, who had a rough day with penalties at guard. He played that game with the Jets with a torn MCL, and he's been placed on IR. But the Broncos' offensive line is banged up in certain spots, and we've seen the Giants, a la versus the Chargers, be able to take advantage of that. The Denver Broncos, and this is not overstated, understated, this is the best defense the Giants should see the entire season. Certainly the best defense to this point the Giants have seen this season. Certainly not the Dallas Cowboys defense, I could tell you that. But I mean, I don't know. I heard a lot about Jesse Minter's Charger defense, and then the Giants kind of figured that out. The Eagles, who have a terrible secondary, I know they didn't play Jalen Carter. I'm going to kind of discount that. But as good as this defense is with Denver, I don't think that this is a kid that's taking this lightly. We've heard and read all the stuff about Jackson Dart in this extended week, and I do think that's interesting. But while all the focus is on that, and again, I'm going to give my fantasy reality play, let's just remember this too. This is a Broncos offense that's in disarray right now. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. Bo Nix, the has not had through 6 weeks the season that we thought he was trending to have with the evolution last year. You saw the struggle with the Jets a week ago, and whether it's offensive line related, he's not connecting on these deep passes at all right now. They've had their opportunities. They should have won that game versus the Indianapolis Colts earlier in the year when they hit a field goal and then the penalty was, or the Colts missed a field goal and then a penalty was called and they moved it up. And it's been an up and down year. They had that crazy comeback where they were doing nothing offensively versus that same Eagles defense and then had a rally fourth quarter. It's been a weird year for Denver, but they're still in a playoff position, and a lot of that is led by their defense. So let's get to the fantasy reality segment. That's kind of like the facts surrounding the game. My fantasy play for this game, Bryce, the Denver defense, I mean, this is really fascinating, right? And I wonder where Patrick Surtain goes here. Is Darius Slayton going to play and he's going to follow him around? Is he going up against little Jordan Humphrey in this game? It's almost like, hear me out, this is going to be a crazy thought, but I think it plays here. The Giants being so thin without a true number one wide receiver almost makes this more interesting because, all right, fine. Like, have Patrick Surtain take care of.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it, right? Because then your other strength is going to be, Nick Bonito and all the sacks he's had from that Bronco pass rush. All right, like the Giants tackles have played great football. Go ahead, please put him up against Andrew Thomas at any point and watch that shut down. So I say this to say it's very unsexy. How does the Cam Scatterboo bust not continue to roll here as a fantasy play? Now, do I think he's scoring 3 touchdowns again? No. But everyone was talking about thin air. The idea of, Giants are going to be gassed. Well, how do you gas a defense? This is also a Denver team that did not take its bye week coming off of London. I know a lot of East Coast teams do that, but the travel's less. This is a team going an extra 2 time zones back home, getting readjusted to their own thin air. And the Giants are more well-rested, having last played Thursday, and the Broncos coming off there. Well, how do you beat up a defense like that might feel it in early game? You punch them in the mouth early with the run game. So my fantasy play is Cam Scatterboo here. Ride the hot hand. What we're going to go away with it? Oh, well, you know what? Denver's going to really diagnose us. I don't know that. Cam Scatterboo is too crazy to know any better. I think he's going to run over some people. So I'm going Cam Scatterboo fantasy play. I think he's going to turn up some yards in this game, and I think he's going to keep the chains moving. Does that mean multiple touchdowns? I don't know, but I think that's the safest bet right now in a Giant offense. The reality of how the Giants can win this game. I think it's all defensive driven from the Giants' point of view. Yep. I think you just build on what you had happen with the Eagles. I think you trust Flott and Adebo more. By the way, congrats, Deonte Banks, twin babies born. But you don't do the rotation.
Listen, Deonte Banks, that's a big deal for you in your life.
Congrats.
You should probably not make the trip out. Yeah. Enjoy, spend as much time in the hospital with your family. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's my thought,
And I think the pass rush, Bryce, has to get after it. And if you rattle Bo Nix in this game, sure, it might be a slog at times for the Giants to score points, but that is how you could potentially win this game. And geez, if the Giants ever got a defensive score in this game, and we keep saying this, they keep knocking on the door, right? We saw versus the Chargers, saw a Flott last week. You keep knocking on the door. Man, that could be the one score that makes a difference in a game like this. So the reality of the game is completely shut down Bo Nix, completely shut down that offense, and just have the defense build on what they did a week ago. Because if you do that, I have no doubt the Giants are going to be in this game, despite that 7.5 point spread. So that's basically the reality. Is a couple turnovers, make Bryce. I'm sorry, what the hell's his name again? Bo Nix panic. I was going to say Bryce Petty. What am I going with Bryce Petty for? and set that up, and then just don't turn the ball over yourself. I know it's very simple, unsexy, like podcast football 101 stuff. Giants only lost to the Saints because they kept turning the ball over. Otherwise, they would have been on a 3-game win streak. Saints. I mean, Denver's going to make their defensive plays. Don't give it to them though. Don't give Bo Nix field position and have it tilt the field because you're turning the ball over. If you play just safe football, the Giants' point total and net total, it'll be in their favor at the end of the game if their defense plays great and they just don't turn the ball over. I believe that just from a talent level standpoint. So that's where I'm at, fantasy versus reality. Now, Bryce, we've been doing this podcast forever. Do I give my game pick now, or you go fantasy versus reality?
No, I do, because then I switch the lower thirds. And dude, you've been doing this podcast for how long? 5 years?
It's been a long day.
Thing? Jesus Christ.
I don't know, Bryce. Go for it.
You said you're restful. Apparently
I know.
not.
I wore down at the end here.
All right. So
I got one ravioli left. Make your pick. Let's go.
Finish your ravioli. I'd love to sit here and tell you Scatterbo too. I think we both picked him last week. Of course, that turned out to be a pretty solid pick. But I don't want to do that again this week. I'm not going to sit here. I mean, listen, yeah, he could have a good game. He's been really solid. He's gotten into the end zone. The Giants are going to struggle moving the ball against the best defense in the NFL. They may not be able to move it, but their best chance of moving it is on the ground. So whether it be Jackson Dart scrambling for 5-10 yards, whether it be Scatterbo up the middle or Tyrone Trey, like whomever is going to move the ball on the ground could be this pick. You know, like it could be Dart. It could be Scatterbo. I'm going to go with the Giants defense here. Like realistically, we saw what the Jets defense did to the Broncos last week. And I get it. I understand. It was a game in London. They had to travel out there. You see both teams making content on the streets. Like, who wants to do that? Yeah, you go to, I mean, what is there to do in London? I've been to London. If you're from London, if you're from England, I'm sorry. I apologize. What the hell is there to do in London? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the Buckingham Palace and you're going to look for 2 seconds. What else are you going to do? So they had that situation of traveling out there, being stuck in this other country. And then they play the Jets. And then they play the New York Jets in one of the ugliest, sloppiest games you will ever see. Almost as ugly and sloppy as the Giants-Jets game 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened there. But I look at this team. I look at Bo Nix. I look at him in disarray. He's had one good quarter this entire year. Like one really good quarter. That's the fourth quarter against the Eagles. That's it. They scored 18 points in that quarter. Bo Nix is going to struggle in the face of this Giants defensive line. You know, I was looking, sometimes I do this. Before games, I'll look to see what the opposing team's Twitter is saying. I just feel like you get the true pulse of what this team is and how the fans think about it. Like, I think Giants Twitter is pretty funny. If you do that, I mean, that's pretty smart. You get the pulse of the Giants fan, the pulse of the team. The Broncos fans are flipping out right now with the injuries they have at offensive line. They are saying, what a great time for us to have offensive line issues than to play the Giants, right? So they're already tweaking out about this. They're flipping out. I think the Giants defense is going to have a field day. And I looked at the over-under. It's 39.5 with the Broncos favored by 7. Like, it just makes no sense to me. I'd say that goes even lower. The Giants, if they get to Bo Nix, this could be 35 or under. So I got the Giants defense. I want to pick a position player. I want to pick a Cam Scatterbo. I'm going to pick the Giants defense. I don't want to double up here. As for the reality of this game, like I just said, like it goes hand in hand. Get to the quarterback, fluster him, make it difficult for him to have time to throw the ball down the field. We know where the Giants' strengths lie. That's the pass rush. That is why opposing quarterbacks have to get the ball out quick. That's why Jalen Hurts sucked, because sometimes he is not able to do that. Bo Nix, you've got to force him to get the ball out extremely quickly, because then they're going to have to run the ball a lot. And honestly, Shuan, like, do you really think J.K. Dobbins is moving the needle for us? Are you really going to tell me that J.K. Dobbins is going to win this game on the ground for the Denver Broncos? No, you can't tell me that. I like R.J. Harvey. I drafted him in Dynasty. Let's hope he turns out to be a pretty solid piece. I'm just saying that. A little partial. But I look at this game, and I think it is unlosable if the Giants get to the quarterback and they get 4 or 5 sacks. Like, Dexter Lawrence, where the hell have you been? He is a good game. The Giants will win. Abdul Carter, Bobby Skinner's been putting a lot of great stuff out about Abdul Carter and saying essentially this isn't really showing up in the stat book, but we're seeing his impact game in and game out, and he's getting better. So if he gets a sack, he finally gets on the board there. Kayvon Thibodeau continues to eat. We may have to pay him now. And Brian Burns continues to be an absolute game wrecker. The Giants aren't losing this game. Say whatever you want on offense. Like, they'd have to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times for them to lose this game if they are able to get to the quarterback and hold Bo Nix to, let's say, 150, 200 yards passing. They're winning that game? I don't think so, Sean. Now let's do game picks.
All right, let's go game picks. All right, so if I take off my my Giants goggles and Giants fandom, and I look at this game from a betting perspective, the game right now sits at 7.5, Denver favored, juice to the Giants right now. And you mentioned the over under 39.5. If I am sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma as a
wait. Let me just preface this. You are 2-4.
Yeah.
I'm 1-5.
Okay.
Terrible.
So I'm sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I have no emotional ties to the Giants, and I'm reading the room on this game. Man, okay, they're asking me to take the Giants in this game. 7.5 is a lot of points. The Jackson Dart stuff's hot. They're hot, well rested. Team coming back from London. They're asking me to take the Giants in this game, so I got to take Denver. That's where the sharp money is going to be. Sharp money is going to be on Denver. So I see that. Like I see that. That oftentimes makes a lot of sense, and I don't think I'm going to walk away from this game stunned if the defense overwhelms and Jackson Dart has a rookie quarterback moment. And then we're sitting there going, oh, geez, lump the pain. Everybody gets all negative again. And then watch the Giants go win in Philly. Like, I do think that this year is going to feel like that, where you're just going to have these wins and you're going to have these losses. So far be it for me to say not to take them. But I need to lock myself in a room today. My room, I meant my car ride home from the train home from work today. And I said, all right, you've gone back and forth, been a long discussion. What do you really think is going to happen in this game? Like, honestly, and sometimes it's the best way to do it. Just like, be serious. You've watched a lot of the Broncos this year. I know I have because I've bet a lot of Bronco games. You watched a lot of Giants. What do I really think is going to happen? Bryce, I think the Giants are going to win the game. I do.
That's not crazy to say.
I just do. And I feel like I'm trying to talk myself out of it, right? Because I don't want to sound like, oh my God, this is not a pick of, oh my God, we beat the Eagles, so now we're going to go on this roll and beat Denver. This actually has more to do with how I think the Giants match up with the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
I think that the thin air stuff and Denver, it's a tough place to play. Of that, there is no doubt. But I kind of think the Giants, because of playing off that extra rest, I think that plays to their whole, get Scadaboo nice and grooved again, get Dart going, have more time for Jackson Dart to watch Denver tape, which I think he's putting in the work. And I think catching Denver off this London game and them opting to act like an East Coast team, come back home, Denver's almost going to be a full day behind a normal week of prepping for this game. And on top of that, I think every week the Giants are going to introduce newer wrinkles that Jackson Dart's going to throw out that they're not yet prepped for. I also think defensively, what the Giants did last week, we hadn't seen all year, and they're going to continue to throw more wrinkles that way. I also just don't think Bo Nix and the Broncos offense is doing anything to scare me in this game, especially with their offensive line. So I don't think the Giants are going to go blow out the Broncos on the road like they blew out the Eagles at home. I'm not saying that. But do I think the Giants are going to win the football game? I do. And I think it's going to be ugly at times. It might be a slog, and I think that the under is going to hit. I'm taking the Giants to win the game 17-13, and I think Bo Nix is going to get the ball 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever left with a chance to go down, score a touchdown to win, and I think our pass rush ends it. So maybe even with a turnover at the end. I'm taking the Giants to win the football game 17-13 on Sunday afternoon.
God damn it. God damn it.
Was that your pick?
I sit at 1-5. I sit at 1-5 right now. You're 2-4. Not much better. This is why I don't bet my own sports teams. Mm-hmm. Never done it unless I go to a game. Like, that's fun. But I look at this game, and I look at on paper, the Broncos defense is by far the best defense in the NFL. If you look at all the advanced metrics, teams are converting on fourth down against them 20% of the time. Shuan, third downs, teams are converting 27% of the time.
Right.
27% of the time against the Broncos. They're number 2 in opposing points allowed, which is 15.8 per game. And there are a bunch of other metrics. I can go through them all. You catch my drift. The best defense in the NFL. So the game pick, I get why it's -7.5 for Denver. Because this is a rookie quarterback. This is an away game. This is Jackson Dart's toughest test of his young career. That's why the line is so crazy. Dude, unless the Broncos offense goes off, like, they're not winning this game. Shuan, you're telling me the Giants won't score at least 14 to 17 points? You're telling me that?
Yes, this isn't the same Bronco team from a year ago. It just isn't.
I don't buy it. I do not buy it. Where is their offensive firepower coming from? Does Cortland Sutton really move you? Does J.K. Dobbins move you? No. They both don't. So I look at this game, and again, it's 7.5. It's a big line. It's a big number. God damn it. I think the Giants are going to win the game. I think they're going to win the game, and that might not be a good sign if both of us pick them with how my season's going. But either way, I've got Giants plus 7.5. They can lose by 3, and I'd still win. Terrific. But I think that the Giants win this game. It's not going to be high scoring. It's going to be 16-13. And you said 17-13. What, 17-14? All right.
17-13. I said 17-13.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Price is writing you. But that's like that. That's why I was damn it. Like that's kind of what I had. That's why I said the over-under being 39.5. I don't bet that much. I mean, like I might have to sprinkle some dollars. I use some money on that, some United States currency on that. I don't know, Sean. I think the Giants win this game, and I hate to say that. I really do, because, man, if they win this game, we're going to have some uncomfortable conversations about Jackson Dart. Not necessarily the Giants, but Jackson Dart, because this is the number one defense in the NFL. They have two of the best pass rushers in the NFL. First of all, I'm very excited to see Andrew Thomas go up against Benito. Very, very, very excited. 0 pressures allowed. By the way, this team is completely different. We've been saying it for a very long time. 0 pressures allowed from Andrew Thomas. Unreal. Unbelievable. So I got the Giants winning this game. You do as well. And let's hope my luck changes for once. This is a pretty pathetic run.
Well, hopefully we
have it.
Hopefully we hit. I love it, Bryce. I love it. Positive Giants talk on a Giants podcast. That's what you get on One Giant Step.
You're positive Bryce. Positive Shuan.
Positive Bryce. All right, listen. Download, subscribe to One Giant Step everywhere podcasts are available. We'll be back to recap the action between the Giants and Denver Broncos sometime, whatever, late Sunday night, Monday morning, however you digest your podcast. We'll be around. This has been One Giant Step at Bryce Gelman on Twitter and X, at Shuan Morash on Twitter and X. A little extended, a little longer pod than we usually do on this preview pod, but that's what happens when we're in the trade market. Thanks to everybody for taking one giant step with us.